Yo, what's going on, guys? Another trade recap, another banger today, but I have massive FOMO, and you know exactly why, right? We didn't know this news was coming out. I didn't know what it was at the time. I'll explain why I have FOMO and why I ended up full selling my position, although I did not mean to. But wow, look at this move. And to give you context on how big this move is, look at these days. Range for this day, range for this day, range for this day, range for this day. Yesterday's range, and then today we moved 200 points on ES today, which is absolutely insane for ES. NQ, let's see, we went from 25.4. Oh my god, we moved 1,000 points today. 1,000 points from today's highs to today's lows on NQ. Absolutely insanity. If you look at this daily chart, insane. And we caught pretty much close to the top of this move, although we didn't catch the whole move. I'll explain why, and I'll explain that we should have caught the whole move. So let's break this trade down. As I always show you guys, let's go down to the Discord and let's see what I was watching this morning as far as levels on my futures and what I wanted to see at those levels. So go to morning watch list. You can see watch list for today of futures on ES. I was watching 67.93 to 6,800. This is at 9:08 this morning. If you go to the futures only, you can see my levels on ES right here. I have the zone at 67.93 to 6,800. So this is the deciding zone today. Regardless of any news that came out, if we fail the zone, we go lower. If we get above the zone, we go higher. So coming into market open, this is what I was watching. As you can see, let's go back into replay mode. We did take a loss earlier this morning, so I want to cover that as well. That's super important because that's the basis of this video. I was able to flip my bias from long to short once I got a reason to, right? So going into the morning, these were green zones. Of course, they were demand. Did not expect to have that type of move. Even if we got downside, I was expecting just to hit this low, maybe this low if we got really weak. Obviously, we know what happened right now in hindsight. But let's see what happened after market open here. So we get a clean 5-minute closure, although it's not super far above our closer. So in order to take the 6,800 break and retest, I would have wanted a close somewhere up here, with something that's well above our zone here, because you know the rules. We want the 5-minute close well above or below the zone. Now, this did have good volume though. Let's pull up our volume here. Very good volume on this candle. So I was highly considering taking this 6,800 break and retest, but I didn't because we just didn't get that clean close. I only want to take A+ setups, right? So at this point, we're above the zone. I would flip this green, and let's see the action. So we get a slight move up, immediately reverses, and this is where I went wrong today. Now, I don't think the trade that I took a loss on was necessarily a bad trade, but it wasn't an A+ setup. It could have been avoided, right? And I'll explain why. So I'm looking at the 5-minute and the 1-minute chart, always same time on my screen. And the reason why this wasn't an A+ setup is because this 6,800, first of all, is a psychological level. Usually a lot of decisions happen at psychological levels, so we need to be watching those. It's very key. As you can see, let's go back and look at the 6,800 real quick over the past couple of days. We rejected it last Friday, rejected it on Tuesday, failed it a couple times on Wednesday, but held above that. Ultimately broke and retested it perfectly yesterday. You see this break and retest 6,800. So we know this is a very key level. So as soon as we failed this, that's one thing, but look at this 5-minute volume. Look at this volume on the failure. Very, very high. Once I saw that, I would be better off just not taking a trade. Now that doesn't mean the setup is not there, but I would be better off not taking it because at the time, I had a level down here as well, so 6,800, and that's still a level, right? Now, 67.93 is the same level we took yesterday, right here. Break, retest to the downside. So I'm looking at it again today. as you can see, is pivot here, another pivot here, and then the pivot from yesterday and overnight. So it's definitely a key level. So I took a long trade on this candle here, stop below the breakout candle low, which is this candle. Stop was 6790.25. Let's just go back into the day trade signals. I loaded ES longs at 938. I was in at 953 at 6796.50. Stop loss at 6790.25. So let's break that down. Keep going to this. So let's break that down here. Let's go to the 1 minute. It's just easier to see. So like I said earlier, look how much volume there is on this 6800 failure, which really should have showed me, hey, the setup is valid, but it's not an A+ setup. You can avoid taking this setup, right? And just wait, see how the market develops, possibly take a long entry if we reclaim 6800, something like that. We only want to be placing A+ setups, right, guys? So this is where I went wrong. But ultimately, still a valid trade, right? Just not A+. We have these former highs overnight, these highs, this pivot, and those pivots from over there. So 67.93 is valid. We took our entry on this candle as we formed a bullish engulfing. Another thing that's not pretty about this chart, we form a bullish engulfing, but look how low this volume is compared to the seller volume, right? So that's another tell that it's not an A+ setup. But anyway, we take our entry at 67.96, pretty much at the top of this candle. Stop loss was right here, which is about 6 points below this 5-minute candle low. If we let that play out a little bit, you can see we almost got stopped out. We did not. We came back up, rejected that 6800, and we got stopped out right here at 1001. But this is what I want to emphasize in this trade recap. First of all, taking the loss. A lot of new traders will try to hold this position. Oh, what if it bounces? What if it does that? What if that? They're all going to hold on with hope. No. You have your stop loss when you enter the trade. If it hits your stop loss, you get out of the trade. It's that simple. Don't overcomplicate it. You're going to... Now, if this wicked our stop loss, came down here, stopped us out, and ran up, that doesn't mean on the next trade, I'm not going to respect my stop loss because, in the trade before, my stop loss got hit and then it went back in my direction and I could have made money. I'm not focused on making money. I'm focused on playing my strategy, playing my setup, sticking to my rules. And over the long run, the money will come. The money will follow, right? So anyways, we get stopped out. And this is the thing I want to emphasize. My ability to flip my bias. So yes, my bias was long after we got a clean 5-minute closure right here above our key zone. We took our entry on the retest on this candle. Stop loss below the breakout candle low. It got hit. Now I take a step back. I realize, okay, we look bearish now. We just got a clear failure of our zone on very high volume. You see this candle, this bullish candle here, was very, very low volume. Not a lot of buyers participating in that upside move. And then you see the retest of the 6800 had massive volume once again. Go on the 1 minute, look how big this volume is on that candle. So it's very telling. Very, very telling. So I take my entry. I wanted to see how we reacted back at the 6793 zone. And I take my entry, I think either on 1003 or 1004. Let's go check the Discord, see my exact entry. So I was fully out at 1001, stopped for a 6-point loss. And then I loaded ES shorts back up. I said clear failure of our zone at 1002, and I was in at 1004 at 67.92. So let's look at that. 1004, I entered on this candle here at 67.92. Stop loss above 6800. First target back into London lows, right? This low from here, and it was a pivot from yesterday. We bounced here and then we turned into a reject zone. So clear pivot there, clear first target for us, right? So although we took a 6-point loss on the first trade, now we have about an 8-point stop loss, and our first target isn't for another 20 points from 92 down to 73. So about 19 points there. So keeping our wins bigger than our losses is very, very important. So let's see how this played out on the 5-minute chart. Remember, our stop loss is sitting right above 6,800 at 6,800.25. Just to show you guys, stop loss 6,800.25. So I had that order set. At 10:58, I said, wow, fully out. Unfortunately, I was fully out, and I'll tell you why. So let's watch this play out. I was getting very bored during this. Alright. But ultimately, we never broke above my stop loss, and right there is when the news came out. Now, you might say, oh, you got lucky that the news came out. Guys, I'm just playing my setup. The setup was valid. We took our setup. We know our target, and we know our stop loss. That's the only thing we can do. We can't control news. Now, you'll see a lot. I also want to add, you'll see a lot. News, coincidentally, follows price action and key levels. We coincidentally just fail a key level. All the volume, look at all these 5-minute volume to the downside, is all heavy. There's no buyers here, and then coincidentally, the news comes out and we drop heavy. You don't think people knew about this news? You don't think banks, hedge funds, institutions, you don't think there were some insiders who got this information? News, coincidentally, 90% of the time, follows key levels. You'll see that over your time. After 3.5 years of trading, I've realized that, right? But anyways, here is why I have FOMO. So unfortunately, I was on Top Step X. I'm trading my funded account, right? 67.73.50 was my first target. I had my order set already to take off half of my position. So that immediately got filled. Let's look at the 1-minute chart. That immediately got filled in probably 45 seconds. And I was scrolling on my phone. I look up, and I get the alert that I got filled. I'm like, holy shit! I don't even have time to think. Oh, is this news? Oh, is this price action? I don't know what's going on, right? Unfortunately, and I should have been quicker at this. This is my fault. In the future, I'll do better. I had my second order sitting right here at yesterday's lows. But obviously, if we get this type of dump, look at this dump, look at this volume, I definitely want to be holding some of my contracts and seeing how far they run, because this can easily be a big dump day, as it was. And we can really capitalize on that, as we had a great entry. Unfortunately, my order was sitting right here. It immediately got filled along with the other one, and I was fully out of my position, which really sucks, because I would have held half my position for this next demand zone, and then I would have held 1 or 2 contracts just to see where they would go, as long as we don't reclaim this demand zone. Another example of a perfect break and retest for you guys, though, we have this 67.44 that was also on my watch list. If you guys check, we have these lows, this high that turned into a new low and a new low. Perfectly broke, retested for more downside into their next key level. Doesn't get cleaner than that. If there's any chart to study, it's this. So this shows you guys, if you do miss the initial move, there's always another entry. Do not force, do not chase, sit and be zen. You have to be zen. You have to be like a Buddhist in this game, right? So we get the retest, perfect retest for more downside. I really wish I was holding runners, but like I said, I already had my orders set, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to, because it happened just so quick. As you can see, the rest of the day, we just no strength whatsoever. Every little pop got shorted, and I think we ended up closing at 6,600 today. But nonetheless, this is what I want to hammer on the head. Like I say every time, we need our entry criteria. So on our first trade, on the losing trade, we get a 5-minute close. We get decent volume. Now, we get the pullback to that 67.93. We take our entry stop loss below here. Unfortunately, and I already told you the circumstances on why this was not an A+ setup, but it was still a valid setup. We did get stopped out for 6 points. Now, we reanalyze the chart. We realize we're failing on very high volume, so we take a short entry. This short entry was 8-point stop loss. The first target was 19 points. Our second target was 67.61, which was about 30 points there, right? Am I doing the math right? Am I stupid? No, that's, yeah, 31 points on our second trim. So we took a 6-point loss. We reanalyzed. We didn't re-enter. We didn't make emotional decisions. We just trade our strategy, right? Losses are a part of the game. You need to learn to deal with them. You need to learn to keep them small. So what did we do great today? We kept our loss small. We came back. After taking a 6-point loss, we come back and take a 31-point win. That is huge. That's how you manage risk, and that's how you trade, right? That's how you don't let losses define you. Instead, you become a good loser. There's a book called The Best Loser Wins. It's a really good book. It's on trading in the stock market. It talks about being a good loser and how good losers are better traders than good winners, right? And it's very true. So I took a good loss. We would call this a good loss here. Re-entered, reanalyzed, stop loss above 6,800, risk 8 points to make 19 on the first trim, and then 31 points on the second trim. So very good trade. A little bit of FOMO today, but that's gonna happen in trading. You know, there are gonna be days where you get FOMO. Tuesday was another day where I got FOMO. I didn't signal it because I didn't have the Discord up and running yet. But you know, I started signaling on Wednesday. But Tuesday, I caught this break and retest of 67.93. Same level, by the way. You'll notice 67.93 has been a key level all week. We took a same trade off this zone 3 different times. Took this break and retest. I think I sold somewhere around here. But as you can see, we continue to dump. So you're going to have days with FOMO. But as long as you get your piece of the bone, get your piece of the pie, and get out, that's what we are here to do as day traders. If you want the whole piece, you swing trade, right? But we're not swing trading in the day trade signals. We're day trading. So we're not swing trading. Swing trading is for the swing trades channel. We're not here to catch the whole move when we're day trading. Our goal as day traders is to catch a piece of the move, get out, enjoy the rest of our day. We don't want to work for 6 hours, 7 hours, stare at a screen for 7 hours. We want to stare at the screen from about market open until about 2 hours in, make a little bit of money, call it a day, right? So nice trade. You guys learned in this recap how to become a good loser, how to flip bias if necessary. Now, don't just flip bias because you took a losing trade. There has to be circumstances and evidence behind you flipping your bias. In this case, let's go over it one more time. We had a high volume on the 6,800 failure. We had another bearish engulfing on the 5-minute. That was our entry. Stop loss above that 6,800. And you see the result of the news coming out, which helped us out a lot. I think personally, even without the news, we would have saw these lows. But since we got the news, just straight down day. Absolutely insanity. You can see how big this move is compared. I mean, it took us from the 25th of September to make this, and we just gave it all back in one day. So insane move. Hope you guys learned something from this trade recap. See you guys next week on next Monday. Let's get it.